Welcome to my channel.
Good day, everyone. It's your host, Rick Sage of Spring News Bulletin Podcast, your source for alternate football news and highlights from the USFL to the XFL. All right, let's begin. We're going to be talking about the XFL 2023 playoffs. North Division matchup, we have the Seattle Sea Dragons versus DC Defenders. And the Southern Division matchup, we have the Arlington Renegades versus the Houston Roughnecks. We have a Texas showdown there. It's to be expected with three teams in that division. All right, let's go over the stats. We have Seattle Sea Dragons versus DC Defenders. Ben DiNucci versus Jordan Ta'amu. Ben DiNucci stats, he was 242 completions out of 374 attempts. Hit a league high of 2,671 yards, 20 touchdowns, but a league high of 13 interceptions. A little too much in my book. Maybe coming from the NFL, from the Cowboys, he got a little cocky, started slinging it too much, but he did calm down towards the second half of the season and has fixed that part of his game. Now, the former Dallas Cowboy and current Sea Dragon has had a fun year aside from his 13 picks, has gotten more stable, like I said before, towards the end of the season. So he will be matched up, of course, against DC's Jordan Ta'amu. Now, Jordan Ta'amu's stats, he had 142 completions out of 227 attempts. Third in the league in yardage with 1,878 yards. 14 TDs and only 3 interceptions. That's a league low. Now, this is an interesting matchup between the two teams. Now, if DiNucci keeps his turnovers to a minimum or to 0, then he should be successful and have the edge. On the other hand, a few interceptions here and there, and we could be talking about see ya in 2024. Now on to DC Jordan Ta'amu. Now the QB has had a winning track record as a spring football QB. He played for the Battlehawks in 2020 for XFL 2.0. Then last year in 2022 for the USFL's Tampa Bay Bandits, leading the league there in yardage, stats, and so forth. Now DC has a dynamic duo threat with quarterbacks. Not only is Ta'amu successful, but they have an electric game maker, backup quarterback, D'Eriq King, who is speedy fast and has the ability to scramble and find the end zone when need be. I call him Happy Feet because he's definitely a difference maker. He can run like crazy, little guy. You know, he's perfect for DC's offensive scheme. Now, that doesn't mean that DC is a shoo-in for a trip to the big game on May 13th. Unless Seattle has something to say about that. Now, the Sea Dragons have another big weapon of their own besides DiNucci on offense. His name is none other than wide receiver Josh Gordon, former NFL journeyman, who is big, tall, and can outmuscle anyone for the ball, or just about anyone. Now, this game is set up to be a great one, with many talented players on both sides, and in my opinion, this is the actual championship game. These are the best two teams. So SMB's podcast pick and predictions will be Seattle Dragons will take this one. The Sea Dragons are edging out the Defenders 33-28. I believe also that there will be co-MVPs of this game, Gucci DiNucci and Josh Gordon. They should be difference makers in this game. I mean, I could be wrong. What do you think? Is it possible? I mean, to me, it's just a guess. It is the first year of the XFL. We'll see what they can do. Now moving on to the least interesting game of this 2023 playoffs, the Southern Division matchup. You have the Arlington Renegades, who actually had a losing record of 4-6, who will be battling the first place Houston Roughnecks. Now, the Roughnecks QB, Brandon Silvers, the starting quarterback, did not play last week. I guess they rested him for the playoffs. But he has not exactly been spectacular as of late for the team this season. But with Houston's defense being incredibly creative and creating turnovers, it should be the difference maker in this matchup against the Renegades. Now, Arlington, too, has a very good defense, but it's handicapped due to the fact they have a woeful offensive scheme, which has progressed since acquiring quarterback Luis Perez from the Vipers. And he's been playing okay, but not much in the TD department. A few interceptions here and there. But to be honest, he has no protection from the offensive line. He's been sacked many times and doesn't have the time to stay in the pocket for pocket presence to go through progressions in order to succeed. So unless Bob Stoops changes his concept of his old school mentality and gets creative with the formations to make up for his O-line's woes and bad protection, the Renegades have no chance in this one. I mean, SMB podcast prediction for this one, to be honest with you, it's a blowout. We have the Houston 44, Arlington 17. Yes, the Renegades will put up some points because it's the playoffs. I'm hoping at least, because I am a Renegades fan. But I could be wrong, and it's an even bigger blowout. Bad for the league. So let's hope it's competitive enough and I'm wrong and Luis Perez does great in the offensive line schemes. They put a couple of tight ends in the backfield to block. Who knows? It's not that complicated. But sometimes you have these coaches who are just dead set in their ways. I think Bob Stoops cannot change for the modern game. He's not the good coach for this team. So SMB's prediction here is the Sea Dragons versus the Roughnecks for the XFL Championship game on May 13th. It'll be played in San Antonio, Texas, the Alamo Dome. Should be a good ending. Let's hope it's a great one to an interesting season. So that's all I have right now. We'll be back with the podcast with the championship game stats and results. This is Rick Sage, your host at Spring News Bulletin Podcast. I'm out.
Thank you for watching.